Hi, here's my question. Why is it that valve combinations get sharper the more you combine them? For instance, play an F sharp, F horn, now played on all three valves. This is about a quarter tone sharp. So how did that happen? Right, so let's imagine, this is my second slide here. I've got a triple horn. What if I put the tiniest second slide from the E flat horn into the F slot? What would that sound like? Let's go. Well, that's not a very large semitone. All right, so that doesn't work so well. Let's try the B flat one into the same slot, the F horn slot. What happens now? It's still a sharp semitone. So we need this much length in the second slot to make the semitone from F horn to E horn work. I'm happy with that, all right? So this one's good when you've got a short tube like an E flat horn, and that goes down a semitone. And this one goes down a nice semitone from B flat horn. And this one goes down a nice semitone from F horn. Now, so this one, the first slide obviously makes it go down a tone. And that's suitable. Now what happens? We use E flat horn and we go down a semitone to D horn. Now this is a tiny bit sharp, about 10%. Now, if we had a natural horn and we had an E flat crook like this, right? And then we wanted to go to D, we'd have a D. Now on the surface it looks smaller, but it's actually triple wrapped. So that's why it's longer. So when you have a horn like that and a separate crook, you can easily get the right length. You don't have to worry about one being sharp, but because they're fixed, you want the semitone to sound like a semitone, you want your tone to sound like a tone, but when you get to the tone and a half, it's just a tiny bit sharp. And we're happy to live with that. You could say, why don't we use third valve? And we could use third valve, but then what happens when we use 3 and 2 together? That's the question, isn't it? So to make 3 work nicely without being sharp, I'll put it in there somewhere. And that's okay, that works. But what happens when we go, and that's no longer such a good semitone because this one is not adding enough to this one to make it for a D horn to go down to a D flat horn. So what we'd usually do is make the third slide longer and the combining of the two sits it where we like. We can't do much about 3 and 1. It's still going to be a little bit sharp. Oh, so what if we had, you can tell an A on 1 and 2 and an A on 1 and 3. The 1 and 3 is sharp, and we'd already did all 3 together before, so like an F sharp. And because the horn's fixed like this, that's how it's going to work. And the good news about the French horn and the double horn, the only time you need to use all 3 together is the low F sharp. And you can play every other note on the horn without 1 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. So that's why and how the valves go sharp the more we combine, because each bit of tube by itself is fixed nicely from a starting point of F horn, for instance, but not from a starting, the second valve is not good for a starting point of C horn. C horn down to a B horn is not satisfactory. So we have to make adjustments, lip, hand, that's how it works.